From BigHMW.com, World Headquarters at Bishop Park, this is the Atari Report, 2600 edition with Ray Jackson. Good evening, everybody. On this edition of the Atari Report, we take a look back at one of the most disappointing releases in the whole video gaming history, the infamous original 1981 Atari Pac-Man for the Atari 2600 video computer system. Alright, so this was the most anticipated release in 1981 and 82 during the Christmas holidays. But as you can see on your screen right there, it was a POS, to say the least. And all of us minor kids growing up back in the day, we dragged our dads out to KB toy stores to huddle around the TV screen, waiting with our $29.95 and our allowance that we had saved up, and it ends up being like this. I gotta tell you, this was the worst piece of garbage I had seen for the 2600, and believe me, you know, I know there are better games out there now, there are better Pac-Man games out now, like Pac-Man 4K and Pac-Man Arcade, as well as Ms. Pac-Man and Junior Pac-Man, but this was the one that started it all. Yes, for a generation of kids like myself who couldn't go to arcades due to minus being banned from arcades during school hours, or even being banned from arcades altogether, and many parents hesitant to bring their kids to an arcade because of all the alleged drug and alcohol use that was going on in some of those arcades. This was what we had to put up with. Yes, this was Pac-Man. Love it or hate it, this was the only way we could play Pac-Man back in the day, until, of course, the Atari 5200 came out, and or if you had an Atari home computer, which you got to play that much better version. But as you can see here, I have a frustration over the controls and everything. The controls on this thing are lethargic, and that is putting it very lightly. I mean, basically, I've lost a few lives in Pac-Man under not my own doing, but rather the controllers not responding properly to the way I want to play them. So, you know, basically, this was the only way we could enjoy Pac-Man back in the day for a generation of kids like myself. Yes, this was Pac-Man, and sad to say about it as well, looking back at it even 40 years later. But I will say this, there are better ones out there. There's Ms. Pac-Man, there's Pac-Man 4K, there's Pac-Man Arcade, and also there is, of course, Junior Pac-Man as well. Yes, we'll be getting to some of those reviews in later episodes of the Atari Report, but right now, I mean, basically, enjoy, if you can, what this looks like. I mean, obviously, the bats are blinking, the ghosts are blinking like a bat in sunlight, and if you have kids who get epilepsy with seizures and things like that, I highly suggest you avoid this game right here. I mean, basically, it's terrible, to say the least, and there you go. Usually I like doing good reviews of my video games, of course, in my lineup, but this one is absolutely pitiful, to say the least. And I'll tell you, like I said earlier, there are better games out there, but this definitely gets 2 thumbs down if I could be both Cisco and Ebert. And maybe one of these days I'll become the Roger Ebert of video game reviews, who knows. It'll only get better, but that's all I have to say right there. Well, it may not be Pac-Man, but for a generation of minor kids like myself growing up back in the day, this was Pac-Man that we had to put up with. Nor we couldn't enjoy the arcade version until later years because of all the arcade alleged drug and alcohol abuse that went on in arcades, as well as, of course, minors being banned from arcades in some jurisdictions. But for a generation of us, this was Pac-Man. Hopefully, future generations will be able to play even better, and they will be able to play even better, of course. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at theataryreport@hotmail.com. I read every letter and I answer every letter, so I look forward to it. And if you want to download the game for yourself and try it out for your 2600 emulator, your flashback, or if you want to play it on the Harmony Encore multi-cart available through AtariH.com, you just click on the link below for AtariH.com, and I'll take you to the post where you can download the link to the Atari Pac-Man for yourself, so you can play it at home. Well, that's game over for this edition of the Atari Report. So for all of us here at BigHMW.com World Headquarters, I'm Ray Jackson, wishing you good gaming and good night.